right, guys, so behind me, I've got a $36,500 2026 Honda Accord Hybrid EXL. And today we're gonna do a couple things. One, is it worth $36,500? And two, how does this stack up against the Toyota Camry Hybrid, the Sonata Hybrid, and what about the Civic Hybrid? Let's hop in. All right, guys, so we're better to start than what's underneath the hood. So let's talk about that. You are looking at a 2-liter engine putting out 204 horsepower. This is then running to a CVT transmission and then out to front-wheel drive. Now, when it comes to engines, there's a couple things to know. The LX and the SE, those are non-hybrid models. That's your base model one step up. They are non-hybrid engine, right? So they are 1.5-liter turbo engine putting out 192 horsepower. Every trim above that is going to be a hybrid engine. So it's going to be that 2-liter engine that's a hybrid version, and it's putting out 204 horsepower. So I want to throw something up on the screen so you can see how does this 2-liter hybrid engine with the 204 horsepower stack up against other makes and models out in the world. I want to see if you're going strictly off horsepower, the Toyota Camry is probably going to sneak this one out. But while that's up on the screen, I want to remind you a couple things. It's an interesting dynamic right now when it comes to hybrids because the Accord Hybrid, a 2-liter engine putting out 204 horsepower, you could drop down to the Honda Civic Hybrid and have a 2-liter engine putting out 200 horsepower, but be in a lighter vehicle. So there's some interesting dynamics depending on which type of Honda you might be interested in. Yeah, so I'm down here on the ground for a couple reasons. The first is I wanted to give you an opportunity to see what the 17-inch alloy wheel on this vehicle looks like. If you're more of a rim guy, I would say the sport trim is probably going to be nicer. Larger rim, a little bit cooler look, but lesser gas mileage. That's the second reason I'm down here. I want to talk to you about MPGs. So the EXL model gets 51 in the city and 44 on the highway. So I want to throw up a comparison to see how that stacks up against the Camry Hybrid and the Sonata Hybrid. While that's up, I want to remind you, depending on the trim you pick of any of these three vehicles, it affects the gas mileage. Typically in the Camry and the Hyundai, I want to say their base models get better gas mileage. All the above models get better gas mileage. Honda's flipped. The Sport Hybrid, the base model hybrid, gets lesser gas mileage and all the ones above it get better gas mileage. So an interesting scenario there. But what you'll see is the EXL specifically competing against those. While that's up, I'll also remind you, if you're looking for the best gas mileage, I would look at the Civic Hybrid because I want to say that one gets 50 in the city and 47 on the highway. So just something to keep in mind if you're trying to stay in the Honda family, but MPGs are important. All right, so I'm down on the ground so you can check out the front face of the vehicle. I think we all look at a car and try to figure out, is it smiling? Is it grimacing? Does it look cool? Does it look funky? So leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this one. But also while I'm down here, I want to talk to you about 0 to 60 times. This car goes from 0 to 60 in 6.7 seconds. So I want to throw a comparison up on the screen so you see how does this stack up against the Camry Hybrid and of course the Sonata Hybrid. While that's up, I'll remind you, you could always shop the Honda Civic Hybrid, which actually goes from 0 to 60 in 6.2 seconds, beating out all three of them. So just something to consider. All right, guys, so let's talk about trunk space in the back of this thing. So I'm gonna pull you on in here. You've got 16.7 cubic feet of trunk space in the back of this. While we're here though, I wanna point out a couple things. You've got the 60-40 split here, so you can throw those guys down from right here. The car does come with carpeted floor mats. That's standard in this vehicle. You don't always get that from everybody. And then typically where you would find a spare, you're not gonna find one in any hybrid that's a Honda. Instead, you're gonna get a tire repair kit and an air inflator. Something to keep in mind. And also this little guy, which I wanna explain. So this little guy is actually used for the gas can. If you ever ran out of gas and you didn't have a gas can with you and you needed a way to be able to pour gas in the car, well, this has a double valve system. So you would need a way to hold this piece open and then there's a second valve down in there to be able to pour gas down into the vehicle. That is the function of this guy. So know that it's ever in there in case you need it. Now, when somebody says a trunk has 16.7 cubic feet of space in it, what does that mean, right? It means nothing to me. But I want to throw the comparison up so you can see how does the trunk space in the Accord Hybrid stack up against other makes and models out in the world. While that's up, just to give you reference, this is what 16.7 cubic feet means. I am sitting in the back of this trunk. I can straighten my legs out. I've got quite a bit of space, so it's actually very usable space. If you're thinking, hey, what about the Civic Hybrid? It has 14.8, so roughly 2 cubic feet less. So I'm by the back end of the vehicle, and the reason I'm back here is I want to talk to you about ground clearance. This car has 5.3 inches of ground clearance on it. So I want to throw a comparison up so you can see how that stacks up. I want to say the Camry sneaks this one out barely. The reason this might be important to you is if you live somewhere rural or somewhere that doesn't have great roads, that might matter. You might be driving on roads. Like me, I live in Texas. Not every road is a great one. Something to keep in mind while that comparison is up is that if you move to the Civic, it's actually a higher ground clearance. It has 6.2 inches. So if that's important to you, maybe it's worth looking at that vehicle. All right, guys, so let's talk about front row leg space in this vehicle. You've got 42.3 inches of leg space in the front of this vehicle. I'll show you what it looks like. I'm 6 foot 250. So if I get in this guy and I have the seat all the way back, I have got quite a bit of space to work with. But I want to throw a comparison up so you can see how does the 42.3 inches in this car stack up against other makes and models out there in the world. I want to say the Sonata took this one by like 4 inches, which is wild because there's a lot of space in this vehicle, but I think that 4 inches plays a role when you're talking about the second row. Another reminder, if you're looking at the Civic Hybrid, the exact same amount of front leg space as the Accord Hybrid. Let's talk about rear leg space in this vehicle. So in the rear of this vehicle, you've got 40.8 inches of leg space. I want to say it's actually leading the class in this group. So let's hop in the back. I've got this seat pushed all the way back. You saw earlier what I did. So when I hop in, I can still fit behind myself and actually live comfortably. So let's throw a comparison up on the screen so you can see how does the 40.8 inches of leg space in this vehicle stack up against those other makes and models out there in the world. Just as a reminder, if you're looking at the Honda Civic Hybrid as well, you're looking at 37.4 inches. So you'd be giving up about 3 inches of leg space if you were to drop down into that smaller little sister vehicle. Now quickly, I want to show you some of the amenities in the back of this vehicle. Of course, you do have the black perforated leather in this vehicle. You got one seat back pocket. In typical Honda fashion, they don't give you the second one. I still have yet to figure that out. You do have air vents back here, and you do have 2 USB-Cs. And then if you do, of course, have the flip down here with the cup holders in it, along with cup holders in the doors. So today's video is brought to you by Into the AM. Now, if you're not familiar with that name, let me talk about it for a second. Into the AM offers a lot of different things, from premium basic tees like I was wearing, graphic tees, activewears, Henleys, polos, boxer briefs, shorts, and pants. But what I really like about these guys are 2 things. One, they've got unique graphics. When I was looking at their shirts, I saw a lot of cool things, a lot of nice colors, a lot of tropical vibes that I'm into. And the second part is they're not expensive. They're not overpriced. I don't want to buy a $50 t-shirt. And that's not what you're looking at here. These are actually well priced and they're nice shirts. So if this is something you're interested in, take advantage. I've got a coupon code, Justin Fuller. It'll save you 10% off your purchase. In this vehicle, I want to say there's like 6 different trims. So let's walk through that for a second. The base model is your LX. It's a non-hybrid vehicle. Above that, there's an SE, also non-hybrid. Indicator though, typically when you see an SE, that means the next year there's gonna be a body style change. In the past, that's what it's been. Can't guarantee you that, but keep an eye out. Above that, there is the first Sport Hybrid. That is your first hybrid vehicle. Above the Sport Hybrid is what we're sitting in, the EXL Hybrid. Past the EXL Hybrid, you're then looking at the Sport L Hybrid. And then above the Sport L Hybrid, you have the Touring Hybrid, right? So 6 different vehicles, ranging anywhere from 29 and change all the way up to 40,000 and change. All right, so I want to do a couple things here. I want to give you an opportunity, of course, to see what the center stack in the dash looks like. It's always kind of important. You're going to be staring at it quite a bit if you own this car. But the second part is I want to talk to you about the differences between the trim above this and the trim below this. So if you're in the XL, which is what we're in right now, if you drop down to the Sport Hybrid, how much money is that going to save you? But what's that list of items that you're going to give up to do so? So check that out. I want to say it's roughly $1,300 to $1,400 cheaper. And then after you looked at that, let's talk about the other way. If you're in this one, you're going, maybe I want to jump up to that Sport L, right? What is that going to cost me? Well, I want to say about $500. And what does that get me? So check that out as well. This is a 12.3 inch touchscreen. You're going to find this in all trims of the vehicle. So I want to throw something up on the screen so you can see how does a 12.3 inch touchscreen stack up against other makes and models out there in the world. I want to say for the most part, this is pretty uniform, but I want to say the Camry offers an 8 inch depending on the trim or that 12.3 inch. Reminder, if you went down to the Civic, you'd be looking at a 7 inch or a 9 inch if you're in that top trim. The second piece that I want to bring up is, of course, wireless and wired CarPlay. That can be important depending on the user. So I want to mention that if you were looking at the Toyota Camry, it is standard in all vehicles to have a wireless setup. In the Accord, it is not standard in every single vehicle, so something to keep in, depending on the trim you pick, that may apply. Now, in this vehicle, it does have wireless CarPlay, so nothing to worry about, but understand if you're getting into some of those lower trims, that may play a role. So I'm gonna throw my final comparisons all up on the screen so you can see all of them and kind of figure out how did the Accord actually do stacking up, who got first place in all these different categories. While that's up, I just wanna remind you, you could always check out the Civic Hybrid. I just did a review on it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I'll throw a link in the description and it'll be up at the end of this video. It actually stacks up pretty well compared to these vehicles, surprisingly enough. Last thing I want to do is ask for a couple favors. One, I hope you'll press the like button because you like the way I present the content. Two, leave a comment. If you feel like I missed something or there's a category you would wish I would involve, please let me know. That's how 0 to 60 times came. I didn't think anybody was interested until somebody asked and I started doing it, and people liked it. So leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Third, I hope you subscribe to the channel so when I produce content like this, you'll receive it. And then four, share the video, man. If you've got some friends that are shopping Accords, Camrys, Sonatas, maybe the Civic Hybrid, I hope you share the video with them. Hopefully this helps them make a more educated decision. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Later, guys!